So today we're reviewing
Solo, a Star Wars story.
Solo, a Star Wars story is about Han Solo, the character we all know and most love.
It's like an origin story for him, basically.
Yeah, it's like showing items in his past, some stuff that went on, and that's basically just this movie. And what are your initial thoughts on the movie?
Well, going in, I mean, this is definitely, you've heard it a million times from other reviewers. It's really a movie that no one is really asking for. Especially for the main reason why, because Harrison Ford isn't able to play this young Han Solo character. So going in, I had a lot of questions, and really, I wasn't that excited about going in. I definitely had low expectations really going in, because from what I heard, there wasn't many positive reviews. A lot of just like average movies. So really going in, I wasn't expecting too much, and I walked out actually pleasantly surprised a little bit.
Yeah, this movie, I definitely had low expectations because a lot of people were saying they really didn't like it. And usually when that happens, I end up liking a movie more. And I thought this was a good movie. I didn't think it was great, but I thought it was good. There's definitely some memorable moments. Some characters I liked a lot more than I did before. And why don't we just get into our positives?
Definitely my biggest question mark going in was if this new Han Solo, like if it would take me out of it, because the whole time I'd be thinking, that's not Harrison Ford. How can I think this is the same character? And thinking about it now, I really never had that moment because I just bought into it from the beginning. Like, this is Han Solo as a younger age.
It's definitely believable.
So it really was believable, especially being next to Chewie. That whole connection. That kind of leads into my next one of my favorite parts of the movie is just the interactions with him and Chewie, like how he met him. I liked how they did that. Also, I mean, the acting is really good all across the board. There really wasn't any characters except for maybe one or two that I didn't really like. I'll get into that later on in my negatives. I thought that, I mean, some of the storylines are pretty emotional, like a pretty good storyline. Like, it was just like, I thought someone talked about like it was really predictable. And honestly, there was a lot of things that kind of like I guess I knew going in, but there's a couple of things I did not expect, like certain characters, like motivations of why they were betraying each other, and that kind of got a little confusing. But we'll get into that later on too. But yeah, definitely Chewie, some of the storylines. And also the actor who played the young Han Solo, Alden Ehrenreich, I thought he did much better than I thought he would.
There is a good amount of positives. Definitely Chewbacca was the best character out of this movie in my opinion. He had a lot of good moments, and that's something that in the other movies like The Last Jedi or The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, Chewbacca really didn't do much. And in this movie, he was able to do a lot. He showed his strength a lot. I mean, the previous ones, he had his gun. I mean, he really didn't even fire it that much, honestly. And he really didn't do much, honestly, that I remember. Because, I mean, he shoots his gun sometimes. And the earlier ones, I don't remember him really doing too much. So, Chewbacca, you hear about stuff he does in the old movies. And you can see his strength in this one. He's punching people back. That's not a spoiler.
That's in the trailers.
Yeah. He shows a lot of strength in this movie. And I really he's definitely my favorite character out of this movie. And I really like him a lot more now than I did before. I liked him before, but I definitely like him a lot more. And then there is the character that nobody seemed to be talking about, the other reviewers, is Woody Harrelson's character, who... Beckett, who he definitely does some interesting things in this movie, like a lot of characters, but he was definitely someone people didn't talk about, and he plays a big role in this movie.
Yeah, there's way too many reviews where, honestly, some guys didn't even mention him. Like, I don't know if Chris mentioned him, maybe I think he might have, but there was 2 reviews that we watched that didn't even bring him up.
Like
and I thought that he was going to get killed early on. And he was honestly probably the 3rd most important character in the movie.
He's like the 4th person on the casting list.
Yeah, so like,
he's a pretty big actor.
We've already mentioned Alden Ehrenreich, Woody Harrelson, and Chewbacca. The other one, like I said before, it was really good act. There was not one bad performance really by a human character that I can think of. There's another character that wasn't human I didn't like as much, but
yeah,
obviously Donald Glover as Lando was pretty. I mean, I don't really remember the originals that well.
No.
But I could see. I knew what his character was. And he did pretty good with what he was supposed to be, like a smuggler, like playing cards, and like just that was his ship and all that. I bought his character. Great actor. Emilia Clarke. That character was definitely one. Kira. That
took some directions with it that was very interesting.
So Kira was definitely, I think, one of the most interesting characters in the movie because everyone else I knew who they were. I know Han Solo is. I know who Lando is. Like, I know like what their motives are for the most part. Chewbacca, obviously. Woody Harrelson character, you don't really know who he is, so I guess he's kind of mysterious a little bit. But I thought Kira was the most interesting character in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the betraying goes on in this movie. I'm not going to say who it's by because I couldn't even explain it if I wanted to. But the Kira or like Han Solo and Chewbacca aren't gonna betray each other because you see them in the new movies, so they're not gonna betray each other. But there is a lot of betraying that it gets a little confusing at times. I would say confusing because there is so much going on at the end of the movie that's why I said there's so much going on. It's just why I said it was confusing. I'm not spoiling anything. I'm saying there's so much going on at the end is why it got really confusing. I'm not saying what's going on. I'm saying there was a lot going on.
One more positive, one that I didn't even expect. I mean, I saw all the trailers, and I had no idea that the actor that played Vision, Paul Bettany, was going to be in this movie. But the second that he was on screen, I heard his voice. It sounded just like Vision. I'm like, okay, so that... And then I saw that was his actor. And his character, I thought, was good for what he was. I memean, it wasn't like... He wasn't on the screen that much, but definitely... When you compare it to all the great villains that have been in the Star Wars universe, this is definitely not a... I mean, it's hard to even call them a villain because it's... This movie, like, you learn throughout, like, that they're all serving someone else.
But that was the thing. That's probably gets into my negative because... I mean, I think Paul Bettany's character grew as the movie went on. Because at first, when I saw him, I just didn't really buy it. I just didn't really buy that he was a villain. He does something in the beginning that, it's just like, or when you first time you see him, it's just like, I don't know if it's because I'm so used to seeing him as Vision, or I just came out of Avengers, but I just didn't buy him as being a scary big villain. Not a big, I mean, I knew he wasn't a big villain, but I just didn't buy him as being a scary villain who, like, would take people out. I just didn't buy it, but he grew, I think, as the movie went on, because towards the end, I thought he was a lot better, so he kind of just... It got better.
Just some of my negatives. I mean, it's kind of just... I heard some people say it was boring. I never thought it was boring. There was some scenes that I wouldn't say were boring, but they went on for too long. There's a couple of space... I mean, obviously this is a Han Solo movie, so there's going to be a lot of chase scenes. But some of the space ones where it's just so much stuff's going on, I wasn't, like, bored. I was just a little bit overwhelmed with so much. Because it's hard to see, like, where... Like, there's a scene where they're being sucked into something... And it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, that was one scene. There is a couple scenes where it drags on too long. You're kind of free, like you don't really know exactly where you are or what's going on. There are a couple scenes like that.
Also, I guess not all the humor worked for me. There's some jokes were good, but I honestly the jokes got better as the movie went on.
Yeah.
There's just some that just didn't work as well as I thought they probably intended to, and then. I mean, the CGI is great. There's no complaints there. I mean, I always like all the monsters and like different creatures in the Star Wars universe.
The CGI and action are really good, and there are a lot of cool monsters in it. But
I guess one more negative I was gonna say is like usually there's one scene that you like walk out definitely remembering, and this one there's a lot of good moments, but there's not one moment that really sticks out to me like that I'm gonna like remember like from now on.
I think there's just one for me. Just one. I'm not gonna say what it is.
Let's just say spoilers. There's probably my favorite moments in the movie. Just nothing like crazy, like no great action. I guess there's a couple good fight scenes, but not like one set piece.
There's not one sets it apart from the others.
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
There's one scene that I'll remember the most. But why don't we just get to our grade?
Okay, so like I said, coming in, I had low expectations. I was not like overly excited, nor was I not wanting to see it. We always hear people's opinions before we go in. But I definitely would have to say it's definitely not a bad movie. So let's say it's a bad movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's not a great movie because, like I said before, it's hard for a movie to be too interesting when you know the characters aren't going to die. There's no threat really because obviously you've seen them in the episodes after this. So I would definitely have to give this movie a solid. I can't go higher than a 7, so I'll give it a solid 7 out of 10.
I would probably have to agree for the most part. It was definitely not a terrible movie at all. I honestly I would set this up with The Last Jedi. I'd say it's above The Last Jedi, honestly.
There's definitely not as many plot holes.
Yeah, true. There's one memorable moment that stands above the best, and the characters are good. There's a lot of good action, but it does drag and get a little slow. I do understand why people say it gets boring. I did get a little bored at certain parts because, it is a pretty long movie, but I'd have to give it a 7.5 out of 10. I would almost give it an 8.
That's still pretty good.
I know. It's honestly, it's pretty good, but it's not great. So it was just a decent movie. I won't remember most of it, but the one scene I remember.
And me leaving 3 points off, it's not because I just can't give it above an 8. It's because an 8 is something that I want to go see again and again and again. And a 7 it's a good movie. It's like a C for me.
Yeah, that's why I
So
give a 7.5 because
that's
I won't
sort
see
of-
it again.
yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't really want to see it again. So if I wanted to see it again, I'd probably be above an 8 or a 9.
It's just not that memorable, but
Yeah.
it's definitely not a bad movie, and it's not a great movie.
No.
So that was our non-spoiler review of Solo: A Star Wars Story, and we'll see you guys in the spoiler section. Bye, guys.